Hello everyone, Scientier here with more of this pre-build only challenge run. I admit that it's not exactly gotten challenging yet. I mean, Ascalon's not exactly known for being hard when you're not in hard mode. But I rather imagine challenge will start to pick up a little bit now, but I don't really expect for it to get hard until we get to the Crystal Desert, which, oh man, I've already got the Dragon's Lair bonus. Maybe I'll get the one in Alona Reach? I don't know. Harvey Rock's probably going to be pain. Anyway, I'll see how far we can get to today. But I want to try to get through Borlis Pass and the next one. The question is, because I have a very limited selection of builds that I'm working with, I kind of feel like I want... okay. So let's take a moment to see what options I have available to me right now. I kind of want to stick to the... So, as I've kind of thought about it, I think the Costume Brawl stuff will be something that I'll allow myself to start using at some point in time. Wow, these are not great. Which is part of why I'm allowing myself to use them. So I'll probably start using the Costume Brawl stuff at some point in time, but I don't think that's going to be interesting. Equipment stuff is for PvP. But I don't think I'm going to start using Costume Brawl. And I think I'll also allow myself to use the EW pre-builds, but I don't think I'm going to use either of these until I get into the more difficult areas. So for now, I'm going to stick to the old pre-builds category of really bad, questionable pre-builds. So I have a really bad assassin build. There's no two ways around that. A really bad elementalist build. Another bad elementalist build. Another bad elementalist build. I don't know where to begin with this one. This is a friggin' sword-wielding Mesmer. I guess I might use one of these, so I might bring a monk along to use with this. Because this build right here, the Phi Boon Healer, is literally broken. It doesn't work anymore. Because Divine Boon used to work with healing prayers, now it doesn't. My other option for healer is this one. Which is... so... The problem with this build is that it's wasting literally two skills. Reversal of Fortune and Spirit of Protection, or Protective Spirit, are pretty much useless in these low-level areas. Like, the damage that we'll be taking is like the, 20... like 10 to 20 range for a lot of stuff. Reversal of Fortune is super weak in those circumstances, and Protective Spirit does absolutely nothing in those sorts of situations either. This is a really bad Minion Master build because, again, Rod of Sacrifice was changed, so that's now garbage. I might... Like, Warrior's Bane is acceptable. Because a Soul Spinner is what I've already got, and I have an Abominable Snowman. Maybe I'll bring a Paladin and... What? A Paladin and... Oh, these are also bad. I feel like... Okay, maybe a Paladin and another friggin' Brutal Bombardier. That's probably the best option I've got here. Costs, are you wielding a sword? I need to check. You are. Okay. So you get to lose this perfectly functional build. Slightly unexciting. And you get to become a paladin. With your tactics shield here. Oh, man. Okay. And then, do I have another ranger? I have Margaret the Sly. Excellent. Oh, I also have Acolyte Gen. We'll use Margaret the Sly, because I don't use her as often. And you get to be another Brutal Bombardier, because I feel like the Brutal Bombardier is the best of these old pre-builds, at least for the time being. Yeah, so I guess we're just going to do that, and then Koss will be able to heal some with Healing Hands and Mending. Oh, Mending is so bad. I would rather him have Healing Breeze than Mending. I'm curious to see how the AI uses it. Zandra is our primary healer. I think in these low-level areas this is probably going to be okay, but I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. So we'll find out together. Why am I zoomed in like first person or something? Probably because I was trying to scroll on something and it didn't quite work. Oh, good. Oh, good. Koss is mending himself. Okay, so the first part of this mission requires us to light these storm beacons. It's actually a really reasonable idea. You have to light these beacons to be able to get through. They're all using shield stands, which will end momentarily. But what that means is I'm going to have to be juggling it as I'm kind of going. So the idea here is that we come into this area and then we head into this pass, and we have to light several beacons because there's a storm going on. And this is to help people navigate through the storm. So that's why they're called storm beacons. Because, again, lore-wise, what we're doing is we're trying to help all of the Ascalonian refugees make it over the mountains to get to Kryta and to safety. That's the idea here. Sometime I probably need to map this area with certain characters. I mean, I have dodge, so I can pick that up more quickly, I guess. And these old pre-builds are not very good. I believe I've established that. But, like, for the level differentials that we're working with, they're not terrible. You know. Barrage is a very powerful skill. Some of these skills are perfectly fine. I'm not a big fan of favorable winds just because it takes 5 seconds to activate and get set up. And that makes it really difficult to work with. But, you know, it's a fine skill otherwise in terms of, like, its effect is useful. Not sure how I feel about using it in an area filled with other archers, but it's neither here nor there. I really love... So this area environmentally has two great things going on for it. One is that it's got this music that I associate with cold and winter, but it also has all of these wind sound effects, like ambient sounds, that really contribute to this sense of everything being really cold and whatnot, which I quite like. Okay, let's get our torch going. Shield stance to say. Also, I have no reason to use Pain, because all of the heroes are using Pain. Pain is actually pretty good. It used to have a longer activation time, if I remember correctly. But I think they buffed a lot of the Ranger binding rituals in PvE. Just because the activation times are long. I still wish they fixed the friggin' AI for preservation, because they just drop it at the drop of hat. I don't know why it doesn't use the same activation AI as recuperation. But for some reason it just doesn't. And the AI spams it when it really shouldn't. We just need to get this torch to gate at the Ascalon Guard Tolus up there, and then we will be free of this torch. But we need to light all of these beacons in the interim. We're almost done, though. Jolo Light Haunch, eh? Part of the reason why, so you cannot have multiple of the same spirit within a certain range of each other. It's just a general mechanic. I don't know if I've explained that or not before at any point in time, but the result of that is having 3 people with pain is very and aggressively redundant. So there's not really a reason to do that. Normally you wouldn't, but because I'm only using these pre-builds, kind of stuck with it. At least things seem to be going okay so far in terms of durability. So yeah, Tolis there promises to keep them lit. We switch from dealing with centaurs to dealing with the Stone Summit. A group of scouts went down very quickly. I don't know if he's applying mending to anyone else, but I think he's the only... No. Goran also has. I should switch Goran out for another... Yeah, I should probably switch him out for another Brutal Bombardier. So another mechanic that we're going to see a lot in some of these missions is these Dwarven barrels. It's just a thing, right? Because I have Jin. Yeah, I should probably switch out Goran for Jin. But these Dwarven powder keg stations give you a barrel that you then will be using to like open that door over there. The way to open that door is to take one of these kegs and drop it on it. The idea of the Paladin build is cool. It's just doesn't quite work out that way. I'm going to drop my heroes there, and because I just want to get this thing dropped off so I don't have to go retrieve another one somewhere. Now we're going to get knocked down in a second here. There we go. I'm not sure how quickly this mission can be done. I imagine very quickly if you are actually set up to do so. So our goal right now is to break this siege over here on... Oh. Is this Gruppel's... No, this is not Gruppel's Gulch. Gruppel's Gulch is the Frostgate mission outpost. I kind of wish they hadn't confused that matter, but here we are. Giant Stomp. Which... I don't remember what town this is. This is some random town. But you can see, like, the damage that we're taking is very low, so... we don't need intense healing powers. We just need some healing powers. And taking out the Dwarven Engineers, or the Stone Summit Engineers, excuse me, destroys their catapult system, and doing so gives us a morale boost. I don't know if we... What does it... Find out what happened to Prince Rurik's negotiations with Dwarf King Jealous Ironhammer. Okay, so we need to bring... Okay, it's Croc's Hollow. This is where we're going. Bring an end to the siege of Croc's Hollow. So we need to take out the ballista that are at the core of this siege. I mean, Koss is probably doing okay. This pre-build is part of what cemented the infamous reputation of the Whammo, or Warrior Monk, as being kind of mending happy. Because a lot of people would use these pre-builds when they first started doing PvP, and like these are old. Like let's be clear on that. These pre-builds have been around for a very long time, as indicated by the fact that some of them are now broken because the skills that they were based on no longer work the way that they were when they were originally made. So, yeah, the whole reputation of the whammo as loving mending got started with this, I think. Or at least was aided by this, at any rate. Well, I mean, you give me some gold coins, I'm going to have to go pick them up. Yeah. The Brutal Bombardier is doing quite well at these low-level areas. How is Jin's weapon? Or, not Jin, Margaret's weapon. Oh, okay. I should not... She should not be using that weapon. Actually, a terrible weapon for her to be using. What do I want to do about that? This is almost a better weapon for her to be using. The reason why that's a... Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and swap her out for Kieran's bow. This is a requirement 13 marksmanship. She does not have 13's marksmanship, therefore it's not doing maximum possible damage. I'm going to ignore the bonus because I've already gotten it, but to do it, you talk to the dwarf down there. I don't want to spend a bunch of additional time on something I've already done, because you can only get the bonus once. So I want to complete the missions, but the bonus is not always going to be part of that. Just to be clear on that. I'm not always going to try to do the bonus, like I didn't in Great Northern Wall, for example. Like, I won't deny that favorable winds is useful, but that 5 seconds to activate is just so excruciatingly long. I wish they toned those down in PvE. Make them a bit more practical to use. You just move around so much that taking the time to set it up is typically not worth it. Did you just strip mending off of Koss, or... I don't know. Why did Koss have so much life regen? Oh, because we have recuperation in the area. Koss is actually super tanky right now. Like, these little areas aren't going to do much damage. He's getting like 12 HP a second, which is actually quite a lot. Oh, thanks for the brutal weapon. But not meeting a requirement for a weapon is going to make it do very low damage, so fixing that for Margaret was kind of important. Part of what's happening here is I'm attacking at a long enough range that the guard mode AI is like, oh, I don't need to go over there. And so they're not. And they're not attacking. It's a little annoying. Oh, heal other. I have expressed at length why I'm not fond of heal other in the monk review videos from a little while back. Shouldn't I be hitting a cutscene about now? I've broken the siege, haven't I? Okay, what am I missing? And the forces outside the gates. What forces outside the gates am I missing? There must be something over here. I must need to take out this group up here. They often use yellow pings to designate things you need to do, so... As these enemies run into, like, aggro range, my heroes will aggro on them as well. There we go. Is that the last group that needed taking out? Yeah, okay, the gates are opening now. Okay, now we can make our way inside. I have a speed up move. I'm going to use it. Here we see Prince Rurik. Yeah. I believe a cutscene should be starting soon, or maybe when we talk with him.
Ah, my good and excellent friends. I got pinned down here in Croc's Hollow when the Stone Summit attacked.
Good thing we arrived when we did.
I owe you many thanks. I would raise a pint of Dwarven Ale in your honor, but there is still much work to do.
Well, perhaps when everyone is safely through Borlis Pass.
Agreed, but now I must go back and lead our people to Prebuilds Gulch.
Yeah, this is where we get our next mission.
You go on ahead and clear the way. Secure a shelter for the night, and then we'll see about that ale.
As you wish, my prince.
Talk to King Ironhammer. He'll help you garner safe passage into the gulch.
Okay, that's enough of that. We get this enchanted torch from King Jalos Ironhammer. I'm all sorts of turned around. We need to go this way. It's kind of repeating the dialogue down here in the lower left. Again, if you want to see like full cutscenes and stuff, I've done previous videos on Young Heroes of Tyria, which is a book where I do these in hard mode on my Paragon, and I let the cutscenes play out there. They're VOD of Consciousness videos, so they're older ones from a while ago. But anyway, right now we just need to clear out some Stone Summit. Basically, this mission will take us to the next outpost, so we go over this, through the mountains, and over to the next outpost here of the Frostgate. That's the name of the mission. The outpost is actually Prebuilds Gulch, so that's something that took a startlingly long period of time to understand, just because they didn't actually name things. Like, they named it after the mission instead of, which is the Frostgate, rather than after the location, which is Prebuilds Gulch. And again, I don't expect things to really get hard until we get to the Crystal Desert. That's the point at which I expect things to pick up in difficulty. And when I expect a full team of brutal bombardiers will become a little bit less potent. So I'll probably need more support, and because our damage will drop off quite a bit at that point. Okay. I just need to clear out all of the Stone Summit. That was a nice throw dirt there, Pyre. Got like all of these guys. Yeah, I should have... Yeah, I have Gates of Kryta. Good. I don't know if we'll get to Gates of Kryta today or not, but we should at least get through Frostgate. These missions are... I usually think of these missions as being a bit longer, but we've only been in this one for 17 minutes, so... And we're almost done with it. We just need to clear out the Stone Summit here. So definitely being at a higher level and stuff makes all of these go a lot more quickly. We actually still have some of these Dwarven soldiers alive, which is extremely rare. If you're kind of just doing it normally, I should say. Ah, friggin' Giant Stomp. The thing is, Giant Stomp actually knocks down all creatures in the area of effect and deals damage to them. It doesn't, like, it affects the Stone Summit just as much as it affects us. It's just the Stone Summit, Beast Masters and Dolyak Masters and stuff are immune to knockdown, so it looks like they aren't getting affected even though they are. Because if you see areas where there's mixed groups, you will see them get knocked down. So at this point, what we need to do is take out these Stone Summit. I'm going to just send my heroes over there to clean that out while I get this lit. And these beacons being lit will let the dwarves of Prebuilds Gulch know that the Stone Summit has been cleared out. So Gribble's Gulch is just right through there. But if we look at that spot, it's going to be like a closed gate. The last one's kind of around the side here. So yeah, that's the gate to Gribble's Gulch, if I'm not mistaken. And it's closed, and lighting these beacons lets them know that it's safe now. So that's all we need to do to complete this mission. And go inside. Hooray! There's a whole cutscene there. And now we are in the Frostgate mission with... Where is that gate? Oh, here's the gate. So, like, if this was Factions or Nightfall, you'd be able to exit this gate and go into that outpost or that area and explore more. But because it's Prophecies, the mission outposts are actually closed, and you cannot go further that way. It looks like there might be area down there that you could explore some if you wanted up there. A lot of the Prophecies mission maps are quite shockingly large areas. But yeah, you can see here at Gribble's Gulch. I need to clear out my inventory. These Wayfarer's Marks, I think the Wayfarer's Reverie has ended, so I probably just need to hang on to them for another year. Although, I'm going to actually quickly stop and Embark Beach just to see, not Lion's Arch, just to see if I can still trade them, or LA maybe would be the place to go, actually. What is this Ishan mission? I might be full. Okay, I'm full, but whatever. Okay, let's just go... Yeah, let's just go back to the Lion's Arch and see if the NPC is still there to take these in. I forgot to turn them in last time, and I don't want them cluttering my inventory, but I don't think the NPC's still around. Yeah, it looks like they're not, so that's mildly irritating, but whatever. Okay, let's just go ahead and clear out my inventory of stuff. I've got a couple of things to identify. I need to get new ID kit. Oh, that's a max defense mod. Oh, I guess that's worth taking off. I'm happy to put that on. Where do I want to throw these? Let's dump the marks over here. I'm happy to put that on this bow. Or does it need to be... Oh. Wait, this is just an unupgradable recurve bow? Oh, that's not much good. Whatever, just chill over there then. Pyre is using... Yeah, this one's actually perfectly reasonable. It's just, for some reason, got... let the memory live again. Okay, well, whatever. Let's do this. Let's salvage some of these salvageables. Again, that's not worth identifying. The holy symbol and the accursed icon are. My ID kit is out. I have an Axe Fiend armor randomly in my inventory. I don't need that there. That's probably an empty inventory slot that just randomly got that filled in. Actually, while I'm here, I should talk to Gordon Ecker and get a normal mode Flameseeker Prophecies book. An empty copy of the Flameseeker Prophecies. That's good. Why do I have fiery daggers on this guy? I don't know. I mean, why not? But I don't know. Okay, so now I've got that. I do have Young Heroes of Tyria book. Oh, okay, cool. I'll probably fill that in at some later date. That date is not right now. Okay, I need to go back to Frostgate. I'm going to go back here and buy an ID kit here because this is a easier, shorter trip to the merchant is the reason why. This does lead out into Anvil Rock, so the same area that Icetooth Cave is in. So you can get to the mission outpost from here or get over to there from here or whatever. I don't know. Okay, I do have enough funds to pick up an ID kit. I'm closing the merchant there, even though I'm going to be using it in just a moment, just because that rearranges your inventory. It probably doesn't matter in this case, but here we are. Okay. So now I want to kick out Gorin for Acolyte Jin, because Acolyte Jin has another gold bow for some random reason. This one is a recurve, but I feel like another Brutal Bombardier makes sense. So we are going to go to Old Prebuilds, Brutal Bombardier, load it up. We're going to just barrage everything to death, because that's the name of this game now. So yes, let's just go ahead and go through this. Because my plan is to go through all the missions, right? All the missions and prophecies. Okay, so this one can be quite the pain in the rear end in hard mode, but it shouldn't be too challenging in normal mode. Not when I'm level 20 and all that sort of stuff. So we need to kind of initially just make our way through a bunch of Minotaurs here. Jin, why are you bothering to get that up? I mean, yes, it does have a lot of benefit. We are loaded with rangers, but... Also, we don't get any experience points from these enemies because they are very low level. There is a weird side path you can go off over into there, I think, but it doesn't get you anywhere, so don't. I mean, go there for the mapping, but otherwise there's no reason to go over there. We both use Throw Dirt. I recognize the animation from Margaret. Like, normally I would not run a team with this much redundancy. We don't need 4 people to bring the binding ritual, the pain binding ritual. We don't need 4 people to bring favorable winds. 4 Throw Dirts is questionable. So the Minotaur are going to be a little bit obnoxious. I don't know why they decided to open this mission up with fighting a bunch of Minotaur, but they did. So the Frostgate makes its way down to here. Dropped a Mountain Minotaur hide. Looks like there's a couple of other Minotaur kind of half chasing us. Now we're going to start getting into proper Stone Summit battles. You can see Prince Rurik and some Ascalonian soldiers over there. They're going to follow along with us in sort of a lower path. So we're going to take some upper bridges and stuff, and they're going to go along in the sort of the trench in between. And there's going to be a bunch of ballista on our upper path that are going to block their progress. And we need to, because we came in through here, right? This is where we came in. I don't know what path they took to get to this lower road, but they are down below us. And I think they came from over there? Yeah, I think they came around this way, it looks like, along this lower road. So we need to go through this upper road and clear out the Stone Summit engineers that are manning all of these ballista, or ballistae, in order to free the path for Prince Rurik and his escort. So that's the general goal here. And there's an awful lot of it. I know what it comes down to. You go down. And Jin's decided she needs to throw dirt it, and so has Margaret. So, throw dirt is a skill that, when you're playing as a ranger, I don't think you should really use it unless somebody's in the back line. But the AI doesn't think that. The AI thinks that they should just run up and use it on whoever. And that's part of the reason why I don't like to give it to the AI, because they will decide that they should run in melee range to make use of throw dirt. And I kind of, for some reason, prefer them not to do that. So, which way do we need to go around? I don't actually remember. I'm going to go this way. So anyway, long story short, I don't tend to give it to heroes because I feel Rurik is telling them destroy the ballista. Because I don't really need my rangers to charge to the front lines to throw dirt. I will give it to them if I'm giving them a melee weapon and doing some sort of build that way, but otherwise, that's not what I want them to be doing. I do love the music for this game. In part, it's just super nostalgic. And the nostalgia that it has is extremely powerful for me. So. Man, our party is really resilient to these elementals, given how many rangers we have. Rangers having plus 30 armor against elemental damage, so we take dramatically less. Yeah, you can see one of the downsides of bows there is getting obstructed. Yeah. This is giving plus 10 damage, it says. Yeah, 26 seconds of plus 10 damage. It works, but so do conjures. But conjures require you to have a specific element type that you're dealing. So there's the engineer we need to take out. Let's get that initial lob off on these guys. What's really interesting is you can see that their animation is like, oh, I've been targeted, I'm going to move into an anticipate animation. But they don't respond to our presence. It's kind of an interesting little quirk of how the game works. I like a lot of what's going on narratively at this stage of the game, by the way. The idea that we're working with a prince to escort our people over the mountains. We're calling upon ancient truces with the dwarves to try to get safe passage, but the dwarves are understandably preoccupied by this civil war that's going on. I just find all of that to be kind of interesting, of how they've tried to build like a world where there's just a lot of conflict going on everywhere, and our efforts to try to stay safe or to find some peace and security with those under our charge in the midst of a world racked by conflict is interesting. But the other thing that's interesting to me is there's different conflicts, right? Here we see the Deldrimmer versus the Stone Summit. In Ascalon we have the Ascalonians versus the Char. In Kryta we have the Krytans versus the Undead. The factions that we are at conflict with dramatically change as we go on and go about, and there's different regional conflicts, and some of the conflicts like shift and change as we go too, because at some points we are in conflict with the White Mantle, and other times we're allied with the White Mantle, and just different things like that. It's not an uncommon thing to see happen, but the focus of who our enemy is changes long-term over the course of the game. So, like, in contrast, Guild Wars factions fairly early on, your target becomes Shiro Tagachi. And, like, you know from the promotional materials and everything that that's kind of who you're fighting ultimately. But this game, it wasn't ever really clear who your enemy was until you're kind of at the end of the game, and even then, like, you can argue the Char are still the villains your Ascalon is fighting, right? That doesn't change. It's just your focus changes as you kind of go through. I think I need to go out the Snow Etten path here. We can go talk to a dwarf to get a bonus here somewhere, but I'm not too concerned with doing that. There's a bunch of stone summon stuff over that way. I don't know, I'm gonna go out this way because I feel like it. I do appreciate the fact that we do have remove hex in this composition. Oh, Koss got his mending shattered off of him. What will he do? What will he do without his mending? Reapply it, I guess, when he has enough energy. Yeah. Here's a spot where we're under siege. It's best to wait for these to kind of land and then make your way through. It deals some damage to us, but again, our level kind of makes that less relevant. This part can be absolutely brutal in hard mode, though. I definitely would not take these builds through here in hard mode. It would be an exercise in frustration. Hard mode is called that for a reason. If you want to get through that gate, the bonus is through there, but you have to take over that ballista over there and shoot down the gate. That's not important enough to me to do, but if you're curious, I've already done it on this character in normal mode, so. Oh, hey, look, a cutscene. Stuff happens. I want this loot over on this side, thanks. We apparently took down the load-bearing, the cutscene-bearing enemy. I would love another game set in this world that's specifically a single-player game as opposed to an online game. Like, at this point, Guild Wars 1 is primarily a single-player game with online elements for me. And I would be happy for like a game set during the Guild Wars, or maybe Adelbern's a major character and stuff, or whatever. But anyway, and everything's dying too quickly for me to stuff up. This is where we get the next sort of mechanic that goes on in here. We get the gear lever. This is sort of the central conceit of the rest of this map. We use this here. And how long have we been in here? 12 minutes? We might have time for Gates of Kryta. We shall see. We do shoot through groups of enemies pretty quickly. Anyway, this takes a while to actually open the door. So what this ends up becoming is, at the end, it's kind of a defensive mission where we have to... I could run down that way? Where the heck does this even go? Oh, this is an area where I can see. The road looks like it's been caved in and stuff. Okay, interesting. But anyway, this lever mechanism pulls on this chain here. And Prince Rurik is going to start getting attacked. And so we have to worry about sort of his defense. Koss, you should be able to defend yourself a little bit here. Oh, I know what the damage is. One of the enchantment removal skills. They hit really hard. Got him. So Prince Rurik is going to be, at some point here, coming under attack by a lot of dudes. And we need to basically activate these. There's 3 lever mechanisms to open the Frost Gate, which we'll be able to see the Frost Gate shortly. It's that big gate right there. That's the Frost Gate. So Prince Rurik's down there. We need to activate these lever mechanisms. All 3 of them. So that way the gate can start opening, and then we kind of have to defend Prince Rurik some, if I remember correctly anyway, while we wait for it to slowly open. And you can see the gate is being pulled in. It's just a bunch of planes. But anyway. Yeah, Prince Rurik is fighting now. Thankfully, he has some stuff to defend himself. Okay, where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Okay. It's not too difficult to keep him safe if you go quickly enough, but he can get himself in a lot of trouble, unfortunately. I want to pick up these gold drops. It's my reward for going into this area. So you will also start to get overwhelmed. I don't know if I... This is an interesting question. No, I can't shoot that far. I don't know why Prince Rurik isn't just ending that guy either. I think we might need to take down this guy to help advance things. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what accelerates our victory in the area. Ah, okay, taking down that guy appears to have done it. Okay, so this cutscene is...
The Frost Gate is open. Go now. We haven't much time.
This one's really interesting from a story standpoint. So we start getting all of the people through, right? We start getting the caravans through while Prince Rurik is there as Vanguard holding off the Stone Summit. And so because we've gotten the Frost Gate open, we're able to get our people out. Here comes Dagnar Stonepate, the leader of the Stone Summit Dwarves. And he'll be showing up shortly. And he's like, yo, I don't like this situation. Yeah, there he is, Dagnar Stonepate. You kill him in the Thunderhead Keep mission. It's rather understated, but you actually are getting revenge for Rurik there. Because what ends up happening is he's like, hey, I'm going to do something about this. What he decides to do is release this pile of snow. And you'll see him do that in a moment. It's like, this is Stone Summit territory.
These mountains belong to the Stone Summit, human.
As he sits on his Frostdrake mount. So he creates this avalanche, and that traps Rurik under some trees and stuff.
Rurik! No! You cannot save me. Get them to Kryta. Hurry, go!
And so here Rurik is, and Dagnar becomes a Goes from an elementalist
Your
to a warrior.
punishment for trespassing is death.
And he gets executed here. And what's really interesting about this, as we wind up here in Beacon's Perch, narratively, Rurik is a tragic hero figure. He is kind of a mentor to the player in the pre-searing area, where you do a couple of quests with him. You join his elite vanguard. Like, that's what happens at the end of pre-searing Ascalon, is you join Rurik's vanguard to go and investigate what's going on with these Char, and then the searing happens. And, like, you're still part of the Prince's vanguard. Like, narratively, the player group is part of the Prince's team, his personal guard, which I think can be overlooked because it's not really discussed much. But anyway, that's narratively what happened. Man, the Streamlight chest is way the friggin' out of the way in Beacons here. Where's the merchant wandered off to? There's Hakon. So it's one of those things where, like, the prince is a really important figure to your character narratively in Prophecies. And the fact that I just bought a friggin' second ID kit instead of a salvage kit. Okay, well, that was stupid, but here we are. Let's put this banana scythe in the way and grab ourselves the funds for a salvage kit, like I meant to do. I could salvage some of this armor. That's barely worth it. And so Prince Rurik dies there, tragically, as he tries to save the people from the, tries to save them and help them escape. And so Prince Rurik makes a tragic sacrifice there. That's narratively what happens. But unfortunately, because of bad will that Prince Rurik built up in the players, through the course of... let's go ahead and get this mission started. I think this is probably an okay team composition for this too. But anyway, because he built up a lot of bad will with the player base... okay, so the story so far, just to catch you up, is we've caravanned from Beacon's Perch through Griffin's Mouth and Scoundrel's Rise to Gates of Kryta, and we're going to be petitioning for entry into Lion's Arch. So we want to make contact with the local authorities at Lion's Arch. Here's Oink, by the way, the invincible pig. He became quite popular. And they're like, we got skeleton problems. But anyway, so Prince Rurik, he sacrifices himself to get his people over the mountains because he believes that's how he's going to save Ascalon. He believes that's the best thing to do, the right thing to do. Unfortunately, what happens is he dies in the process, and like there's a reason why everyone's so saddened by that, and that's because the Prince represents, he's a very significant figure. He's the one everybody's been following, and his sacrifice there is quite tragic, but a lot of players celebrated it because Prince Rurik had made himself an absolute nuisance to them. They're like, yay, now this idiot can't go and get himself killed on us and ruin our missions anymore. Oh, you can see the lighthouse way out there. That's cool. Because what would happen is Prince Rurik would, as we saw, especially in the Ruins of Sirmia mission, that's the one where it's the worst example of this. But he would go and get himself killed because there's just certain spots that would trigger his AI and he'd run off. Like, Prince Rurik is really in very few missions if you think about it. He has a few quests in pre-searing Ascalon that you do with him, including sort of the quest that ends pre-searing. And then he has, I guess, he's not in Great Northern Wall. I think he's in Fort Rannoch. And then this area has certainly picked up the danger levels. The fragility use is actually quite strong. Sorry, I'm getting distracted from my narration by gameplay. But he's in the Fort Rannick mission, but he's not bad there. Deflect arrows. Should wait a few seconds for that to end. Really? Hamstring? Okay. So anyway, he's in Fort Rannick, Ruins of Sirmia. He's barely in Nolani Academy. And he's not really an entity in Borlis Pass or Frostgate. Like, he exists in both of those, but he's not an entity in the same way. So he's basically in, like, a few quests in Pre-Searing where being level 10 makes him, frankly, kind of overpowered relative to the standard enemies. Just kind of like we're overpowered compared to the standard enemies here. And then he's in... he's in just a few missions, and, like, Fort Rannick, he's not bad. No, he's not in Fort Rannick. He's not in Fort Rannick. He is contacted at the end of Fort Rannick. So he's in Ruins of Sirmia and Nolani Academy. And so it's interesting to me that, like, his reputation among the player base as being a suicidal maniac who ruins everything by getting himself killed and making you restart the mission is, like, probably 70% plus based on the little boss in his mending is, like, based almost entirely on the events of Ruins of Sirmia, because he's not in Great Northern Wall. He appears at the final cutscene in Fort Rannick, but he's not actually part of that mission. He shows up in Borlis Pass and Frostgate, but you're not directly interacting with him. So the only spot in Frostgate where he could die and ruin everything is at the very end, and that's if you don't go quickly enough. So it's a timer mechanism rather than the prince actually being a problem. I don't think... Yeah, I kind of want to do the bonus here, but I don't know that I have the time for it. So the main time where he shows up, and it is a problem, because again, like, he's in Nolani Academy, and he can get himself killed there and be a nuisance. Like, especially, like, right at the end, you have to keep an eye on him. So, like, that probably contributes to some of it, but probably most of it is Ruins of Sirmia. Like, that's probably, like, the vast majority for the reason for his reputation among the player base as being a suicidal maniac who gets himself killed. And that's incredible. That, like, that one mission was able to probably not single-handedly, because I don't think he deserves that much credit, but very close, like, heavily influenced the player base's opinion of Prince Rurik. That to me is something that's really incredible and really fascinating. And it really shows how important it is to understand how the mechanical execution of something influences what people think of a character. Like, narratively, Prince Rurik is a tragic hero, a martyr who saves his people and fights for his people and sacrifices himself to try to do what he can to defend his people. But mechanically, in one mission, arguably maybe like a second one, but not as much, he gets himself killed, and that unfortunately causes a huge problem. Cheswick is excited to see Oink because it's his pig, so now we can go get this Orient text retrieved and translated. I forget how we get to the path to do that. Okay, yeah, we need to advance a little bit further because we need to get down into this area. I don't think we can get there just yet. Keep in mind, ore was sunk around 2 years ago, shortly after the searing. Just for reference, for people who may think, ore, that's like ancient history, but it's not actually ancient. The decayed ore emblems are not ancient ore emblems. They're decayed because of the rot. Okay. But anyway, so Prince Rurik, like his mechanical execution, because like especially in Runes of Sirmia and in parts of Nilani, because he had AI that would make him go run off, and the players could easily lose track of him. And I think most of that's honestly from Runes of Sirmia. Wait, how are we? Oh, right, that's the gates, but we can't go through the gates there, the Lion's Arch yet. We need to go down this way. I'm very confused about what direction I'm supposed to be going right now. No, that's where we go on the way back. Oh, I need to go down that way, derp. Okay. Sorry, I've gotten completely turned around. I don't do this mission very often, so I got completely turned around about which way I was supposed to go. Okay. Yeah, I think down there is where I need to be going to get the bonus. So anyway, it's important to recognize you can't just write a character as being this awesome tragic hero that the player's supposed to have a close relationship to. They have to mechanically fulfill that. And if they don't, then it's just not going to work. The players are going to respond to the mechanical execution of the character much more than they will the narrative execution. And unfortunately, that meant a lot of players celebrated Rurik's death rather than mourned it. And that's sad, and that's unfortunate, and that didn't have to be the case. But it was made to be the case just because of how all of that worked out. So. Okay. So I want to do the bonus here. It's experience points, it's skill points, it's progress towards my idle track. And that requires me to go all the way up in here where there's this Orion chest. Like I said, remember that the cataclysm that sunk ore happened after the searing. So the searing was, at this point, I don't think it's exactly 2 years ago. I think it's a bit longer than that narratively in the game, but it's roughly 2 years ago. 2 years and change. So from a narrative standpoint, it's actually been pretty recent that the whole cataclysm happened. So somebody who knows about ore is not necessarily, like, he's a historian, yeah, but he's not necessarily, like, got some long-lost knowledge or anything super special like that. It's like, yeah, there can be lots of people who knew about ore. It's perfectly reasonable for people who were Orions to have been visiting, like, Kryta. It's unlikely because there's wars between ore, Kryta, and Ascalon. Those were the guild wars. And like I said, it'd be really cool to have a single player experience that was set during those. But anyway. Oh, that's already been implied to me. Whoops. Oh well. So Orion text existing also is not terribly surprising. Because again, that was not that long ago. But it'd be really cool to see what Ascalon looked like in its prime, or in kind of its prime as well, and things like that. And most of this game is in a broken world. Even pre-searing Ascalon's already been broken. The Char have gotten down to the wall, right? When you go into the Ruins of Sirmia mission, you see that they built north of the wall. The Ascalonians had. And when you play in pre-searing Ascalon, you can go north of the wall, and you can see that stuff has already been wrecked. So we now have to get this text back. And these guys will spawn as we try to do so, and it's vaguely obnoxious. These guys are level 17, which means that they're actually starting to be dangerous. 17 is not that far from 20. So there's going to be several of those pop-ups along here, but we just need to get this back up to the guy for the bonus, hand this over to him. The hardest part of this, honestly, is knowing where to get onto this beach. This is a small little hidden area. Yeah, here's another pop-up of smoke phantoms. The other thing that's really obnoxious about the Brutal Bombardier build is it does not have an interrupt, and normally I would not bring a Ranger bow build without an interrupt, so that lack is kind of annoying. We have a few more smoke wraiths here that we need to deal with. And they're inflicting weakness, which makes me deal less damage. I believe it decreases... I'm not sure how much it decreases damage by. If I had Antidote Signet... Like, again, I'm not getting access to all of the standard skills I would bring. Like, Barrage I'm perfectly happy with, but I would bring, like, Distracting Shot, Savage Shot, and Antidote Signet. And I'd probably... Like... If I were to be making this build, I'd probably drop at least these two for, like, those two. The interrupts. I'd prefer not to fight these drakes if I don't have to, but I think I'm going to need to. I think they're going to be in the way. Looks like you can enter the beach from up there, maybe, too, if you wanted to, but... Lightning Reflex is also not a skill I often bring with me. I usually don't use Dodge either. I'm not too fond of it as an increased move speed skill. If you want to know more about that, you can watch my Ranger review videos on Expertise. I think Ranger... I'd broken it up after Elementalist, so... I like the order I ended up going in with those. It wasn't planned at first. I just decided to do Warrior first, and I thought Elementalist would be a nice point of contrast. And then I thought that Mesmer would be a nice point of contrast. And I'm like, you know what? And then I like Ranger. But Ranger makes a nice counterpart to Mesmer. And then the Necromancer makes a nice counterpart there, and then the Monk makes a nice so the whole thing I felt ended up actually working out really well in order. And I didn't really start planning it until after the Elementalist, and I was kind of going, okay, well, let's go physical and kind of do physical caster, physical caster. So Assassin was interesting to do too. What really stood out to me going through the Assassin was how much it's like, yeah, a lot of these dagger attack skills are like, yeah, this is reasonable, but it's just not, you don't have a lot of free slots for dagger attacks. And so it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like the tragedy of tighter limits, right? Like, and there's a lot of cases like that where there's skills in this game where it's like, yeah, this is a perfectly reasonable skill, but it's, you only get so many skills, so only so many can kind of rise to the top. And that's part of what this challenge is about, is like, there's a bunch of builds where it's like, this is not the choice that I would make. And it makes it for a very different experience, and that's interesting to me. I don't know if it's possible to bring this all the way around. You basically make a big loop in this mission. Where you go around this way, up, clear some stuff out, and then come back this way. So he will talk about this. I watched it when I did the Young Heroes of Tyria stuff on my Paragon, so if you want to sort of see that dialogue, you can see it then. Right now, I want to just get this mission over with, because I have stuff coming up, so I need to get it done. But I'm happy to get the bonus finished. That's some nice breakers going on over there. I really would kind of like to see, but like Guild Wars 2 is kind of like an big update to the appearance of the world, but the gameplay is so different, and that frustrates me. I wish Guild Wars 2 had ended up either more like this game or less like this game. And I feel like they started with this game and iterated enough into kind of more of an action-y game without really considering what the goal was, if that makes sense. And again, I'm speculating on all this, but the way Guild Wars 2 plays, it really makes me think that they had some sort of sense for where they were trying to go, of like what they thought was more fun, but they didn't realize what that sort of end state, practically speaking, was, and that meant that they didn't go more into that. Because Guild Wars 2, one of my big problems with it is I want it to be more of an action game or less of an action game, and it's kind of caught in this area in between that feels really awkward to me. Because I want it to be more like the Middle Earth Shadow of War type game, or something more in that direction, or something more in the direction of what this game is, and it is not quite in either of those positions, and that something that I find disappointing, I guess, frustrating, something like that. How long have we been in this map? 18 minutes. A bunch of that was running back.
You've arrived in Kryta at the wrong moment, friend.
Well, I understand. We have to go clear a swamp of undead. That's okay. We will make it. So this is going to be traveling up into this area and clearing a bunch of stuff out. Starting with these guys. We do have a bunch of NPC allies, though, so that's nice. I think Hablion, yeah, he's level 18, so he's no slouch. Oh yeah, some of these, yeah, the zombie warlocks do minion mastery. Cool. So, yeah, we go up this way, clear some stuff out up this direction, and then there's a bridge there that will open that we can then take. I like how different Kryta feels from Ascalon, too. It's not just how it feels compared to post-during Ascalon, although it does feel different from that, obviously. Being a bunch of greens and grays as opposed to browns. But it also feels tremendously different from pre-during Ascalon, which has a lot more of like an orange and whatnot. And its green is a very different sort of green. And I don't know, it's just all quite different, and I enjoy that. Edge of Extinction, you say? Interesting choice. Edge of Extinction got nerfed because of griefers. Good job, griefers. Edge of Extinction, for those who are unfamiliar, used to, like, it doesn't affect things above 90% health. It used to, but then people would bring sacrifice skills into certain PvP areas and suicide themselves to cause damage, and it was obnoxious. So I think they could kind of like spam it to try to like kill everyone and be really annoying. And Edge of Extinction was never that amazing in PvE, so... How are you guys still fighting a skeleton sorcerer? They're not that strong. Okay, good. They've managed to finally clear that out. That was Unimpressive. Alright, let's take out some grasping ghouls and stuff. Let me get a Spirit of Pain up. Recuperation. You are adding durability to our party. It's not a skill I use very often. It doesn't have 100% uptime and things like that, but it's actually proven to be quite handy. Okay, I believe the quest requires us to take out... Yeah, and these last two guys will need to go down. Nazim the Damned. These are Orion Undead, by the way, just like you encounter all over most of the Risen in Guild Wars 2 are Orion as well. Yeah, we see the whole ritual about wishing death there and that sort of thing. And that's the end of the mission, apparently. Because Gates of Kryta just booted me over here when I skipped the cutscene. I guess it cutscene runs you back this way and across the bridge and open the door. So, yeah. That's going to go ahead and conclude this business. So, next time, it will be the Delesio Seaboard. So that'll be exciting. But until then, everyone, take care and goodbye.